Are you ready to start, Jeff?
Welcome everyone to game number 2 of this 2015 Central Basketball Association playoffs. Game number 2 pits the number 3 seed, the Memphis Soul Kings, coming in with a 5-3 record, taking on the 6-seeded Middle Tennessee Storm at 4-4. It was exactly 6 days ago where these two teams went head-to-head against each other in Memphis, with the Soul Kings not only prevailing 116-107, but securing the 3rd seed in the process. Their prize, a rematch with the Middle Tennessee Storm out of Nashville, Tennessee. Both teams love the comfort of their own home gym, with each team going 4-0. On the road, however, it was a different story, with Memphis having a 1-2 record outside of Memphis and Middle Tennessee 0-4 in games not played in Nashville. Memphis has a 0-1 record all time in Fort Wayne, while Middle Tennessee is 1-1 in the great city of Fort Wayne, Indiana. Memphis is led by Bobby Jones, 16.3 points per game, and the big man Lewis McCaster Jr. averaging 17 points a game and 5 rebounds. However, the Soul Kings mostly score by committee, as they have 9 players who average at least 8 points a game. Middle Tennessee is led by veteran Myles Thrash, averaging 24 points a game and 6 assists per, along with Torye Pelham, who averages 15 points a game and 9 rebounds a game. Where these two players combined for 53 of their team's 107 points. That's 49.5% last week in a loss at Memphis. Middle Tennessee is 5-4 all time when facing an opponent for at least a second time during a season, while Memphis is 4-2 all time in that same situation. The CBA predicts Middle Tennessee will win this game 102-87. Tim, I don't know if I can agree with that one right there, as once again Memphis brings what looks like the majority of their roster here to Fort Wayne. I definitely see number 1 down on the floor. That's Mario Cain. He's averaging 9.8 points per game, but he is definitely a perimeter threat for the Soul Kings. Matter of fact, I feel like the majority of the shots taken by Mario Cain come from beyond the arc. And we will get to see Kyle Teichman, number 34, the big man who was a league MVP at the NAIA school that Teichman comes from, which is Freed Harmon University. He's out of Brentwood, Tennessee. And of course, Myles Thrash, the 34-year-old from Stillman College. He is out of Pritchard, Alabama. Great matchup here in game number 2 in the 2015 CBA playoffs.
Yeah, these two teams have a lot to leave out here with the first game that we saw, Jeff, going down to the wire. A little controversial finish, but I definitely think the Flight deserved that win. So it'll be interesting to see what happens here with these two squads. Both teams in the purple. It's going to be an exciting game, last game of the evening. So lot to follow up here, Jeff.
We talked about Bobby Jones and Lewis McCaster. Right behind them in scoring is number 11, Marticus Morgan, averaging 11.5 points a game, and Tyrell Hersey, number 21, averaging 10.8 points a game. For Middle Tennessee, watch out for number 21, Hunter Harris, averaging 11 points per game, and Ryan Westbrooks, averaging 16.1 points per game. We're going to send it down to Michael Mortensen, the PA announcer.
Soul Kings. So we'll start off with them. Their starters include number 1 at guard, 6'1", 185 pounds from Victory University, Mario Cain. Number 6, guard, 6'4", 185 pounds from Memphis, Tennessee, Number 11 at forward, 6'6", 230 pounds from Arkansas State University, Martinez Morgan. Number 21 at guard, 6'5", 205 pounds from Victory University, and then rounding out the lineup for the Soul Kings, number 22, at guard, 6'1", 205 pounds from Fisk University, Reginald Christian. The Soul Kings are coached by Andre Rogers. And now, ladies and gentlemen, your Middle Tennessee Storm. The starters include number 3 at guard, 6', 165 pounds from Stillman College, Myles Thrash. Number 6 at guard, 6'2", 180 pounds from Carson Newman College, Ryan Westbrooks. Number 15, up forward, 6'6", 215 pounds from SMU, Torye Pelham. Number 21 is a forward, 6'8", 240 pounds from East Tennessee State University, Hunter Harris. And lastly, number 34 at forward, 6'7", 245 pounds from Greenhaven University, Kyle Placement. The Storm are coached by Nathan Wilhite.
So there we have it, folks. Starting lineups for today's second game of the 2015 CBA playoffs. This is the quarterfinals. Number 3 versus number 6. One guy to look out for is number 6 for Memphis. That's Edward Graves. He's able to do a little bit of everything for the Soul Kings. A very versatile player. Great guy to be able to plug in. And down on the floor for Middle Tennessee, Hunter Harris, number 21, 6'8", 240 pounds. A great player for the Storm. Harris averaging 11 points a game, 4.3 rebounds a game, 1.3 blocks per game. So that's number 11, Martinez Morgan, along with number 21, Tyrell Hersey. And possession goes to Myles Thrash and the Storm. That's Myles Thrash with the reverse lay-in. A beautiful looking play for the vet. Number 3, Myles Thrash, giving the Storm the 2-0 lead here to start this game.
Yeah, Jeff, and if you give Thrash baseline, he will take advantage all night long. He can reverse that layup with ease. So you got to cut the baseline off on Thrash.
Thrash definitely a perimeter threat as well. Comes into today's game averaging 6 assists per game, which is one of the tops in the league right behind E.J. Ward. That's number 22, Reginald Christian, at the free throw line. The first free throw is a miss. And on the foul was number 6, Ryan Westbrooks. 2-1 your score with the Storm on top. Myles Thrash working off a pick set by Teichman. Teichman with the pick and roll finishes at the cup.
Good two-man game, ball screen and roll there by Thrash and Teichman. Well done.
Christian driving from the top of the key, gives it up. That was number 6, I do believe, Edward Graves. So the Soul Kings both in one, 4-3. Westbrooks, beautiful drive in the lane.
you'll see a lot of athleticism on the court today. One of the best athletes in the CBA, number 15, Pelham. Watch for his leaping ability.
Memphis playing without their big Lewis McCaster. Obviously a big blow to them. Charging going to be called. Called on number 11, Marticus Morgan.
And that was Westbrooks giving up the body to take that charge.
Torye Pelham working from the near wing.
There's the
Thrash
alley-oop.
with the lob to Pelham. Beautiful looking play as they make it look so easy.
Pelham, all you got to do is throw it up near the rim. He's going to finish most balls.
First assist in this game for Myles Thrash. 17-foot jumper is good by Marticus Morgan.
That was pure right there. Defense had to watch out for his dribble drive and left about a 4-foot cushion for him to hit that jumper.
Beautiful steal there by number 21, Tyrell Hersey, is on the other end. He's fouled by Teichman. He'll head to the free throw line to shoot 2.
And I like Teichman's game. Big body. Can shoot the 3, likes to shoot it from outside, but also, as you saw on the first screen and roll, can finish at the basket, but watch him to pick and pop on those to get lined up for a 3 here as we move throughout the game.
First free throw is good by Hersey. That pulls the Soul Kings to within 2. Kyle Teichman, one of the younger players in the league at just 24 years of age, goes 6'7", 245, and joining us in the booth is the president of the CBA, Wasim Morad, as Myles Thrash pulls up for 3. No good. Rebounded by Christian. 8-7 is your score with the home team, Middle Tennessee Storm, on top. Thrash was looking to leave that one for Pelham as that ball is knocked out of bounds with 14 seconds left on the shot clock. Wasim, Kyle Teichman is an NAIA player, but, you know, much like Antonio Cannon, he was the best player in his conference.
For 4 straight years, he was one of the best players. He started off at Freed Hardeman as a freshman, averaged about 12 points a game, 7 rebounds a game, and then improved as a sophomore, went as a junior, averaged a double-double, and that's when he was NAIA second. He was second in the MVP ratings, was NAIA first-team All-American, and then averaged a double-double again. And we're not talking about like 10 and 10. We're talking about 21 and 15, 20 and 12, 19 and 13. Very talented individual that has, you know, gone off to a slow start here in the CBA, but he's one person to keep an eye on for tonight. He should have a good game tonight.
And I think, Jeff, and Wasim, I think the game will eventually start slowing down for him, just a quicker pace than what he's been used to and accustomed to. So I think a good, solid year in this league will really set him up for improvement here in the years to come.
Kevin Wilkinson Jr. into the game for Middle Tennessee.
Kyle is very lucky that he's around a Myles Thrash, a Torye Pelham, individuals that have played abroad and have been, you know, with Torye playing at Southern Miss, Hunter Harris playing at East Tennessee State. Those Division I experience, it feeds down, and Kyle's going to learn a lot this season. I think Kyle is one of those players that will have a big game tonight. Why? Because Memphis doesn't have Lewis McCaster, who can match up well against him. So Hunter Harris, Kyle Teichman, and Torye Pelham should have big games today in the front court.
That's Thrash being guarded by Reginald Christian. Finds Westbrooks in the corner. Kicks out. Pelham for 3. Pelham with extreme athleticism as that's rebounded by Marticus Morgan. Morgan wearing the orange sneakers, got caught up there with Teichman and Wilkinson Jr. with the defense.
Yeah, Teichman, I think, got a piece of that. I'm going to credit him with the block on that. Nice defensive play.
Westbrooks looking for the lob to Teichman, deflected out of bounds. We have 14 seconds on the shot clock.
Good break up there by Cain. That would have been an easy deuce for Teichman.
Looks one of the things with the FIBA rules, you got 8 seconds to get the ball over half court. So we've seen that a little bit where sometimes the guards will take their time. That's Mario Cain coming up with the loose ball and finishes.
Tough finish by Cain. Was looking for the body contact, didn't get it. Pelham just kind of did the blow by, and he still got it up on the rim. Good for 2.
Mario Cain, a nice three-point shooter for the Soul Kings as Wilkinson Jr. leaves that ball up for Morgan.
Yeah, that was a good layoff. Morgan just couldn't handle it.
And Jeff, you bring up a great point regarding Mario Cain's three-point ability. This game is really going to be dictated between Memphis's backcourt versus Middle Tennessee's front court. Memphis's backcourt with Mario Cain and Bobby Jones, who's from UT Martin, a D1 school, coupled with their other combo guard, Torye Pelham, are three-point specialists. Middle Tennessee has a big front court. They're going to pound the paint, so it's a matter of who wins. Is it the outside shooting or the inside shooting?
Ryan Westbrooks driving from the top of the key, walled off by Morgan, but finishes. A tough take there for Westbrooks.
Westbrooks having a nice little quarter here to start the ball game.
15-9 is your score with the Storm on top. 5:45 left to play. Memphis, we talk about the depth of Memphis, and they're one of those teams where at home they'll sub in 5 players at a time to kind of figure out who's hot for the day. As the extra pass goes to Torye Pelham. 4-2. 17-9 your score now as the Storm starting to pull away. Tyrell Hersey, a little out of control there. Thrash up to Pelham, out to Westbrooks, and there we have it. That's one of those situations where Ryan Westbrooks not totally familiar with this court.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why this court is so unique. You have the NBA line, which is about 2 feet from the sideline, where they're used to Fisk and playing at high schools down in Kentucky, where it's more of a 2.5 feet to 3 feet. So they're not used to their heel touching the line.
It doesn't sound like a huge difference, but mentally, you're after playing all these years on a certain size court, you just know where the end lines are and the sidelines are. So as you progress and as the three-point line separates, and you do see it most of the times on the sideline here by the three-point line, so that's a very good point.
Dominique Rouse into the game along with Daryl Miller for Middle Tennessee as Teichman and Ryan Westbrooks takes a breather. That's Tyrell Hersey with the air ball attempt. Last time you saw Memphis in this gym was against the Fly. Fly picked up the W, but Memphis stayed in this game with their three-point shooting.
Yeah, there's no question about it. If they get hot, they can shoot the ball. They could blow them right out of the gym. But that's why it's so important to make them go to the basket. Send them to funnel them into your big guys down in the paint.
Miller over to Pelham, driving baseline with the jam. No doubt about that one, Tim. Big dunk. We've been talking about the athleticism of number 15, Torye Pelham.
Yeah, he was up there almost kissing the rim. He was so high. He's an outstanding athlete, is Pelham.
And Torye will have those highlights all season, and that's one of the reasons why he's on the ESPN Top 10 highlights for 3 consecutive dunks when he was in Southern Miss. Yet another example of touching the back line right there.
Yeah.
So that was Cortez Johnson, who's newly inserted into this game, along with Keith Barron, number 12.
And that 6-inch to a foot difference there on the sideline. What's the difference in the turnover? He had half his foot on the out of bounds line. So.
Excuse me, not Keith Barron, Jonathan Stevens. Stevens has played 2 games with Memphis this year, averaging 6 points a game. He's also averaging 4 rebounds. He's got 2 blocks on the season.
Timeout on the court. Nice little lead here, 10-point lead early. We've already had the biggest lead. It was pretty much a barn burner in the first game. So we'll see how they battle back. But right now, the Storm looking very good.
And you have to remember that these are the defending champions. So you have that experience, whereas Memphis, this is their first time ever in the postseason.
And with a point guard like Myles Thrash, who's 34 years old, so important because he can control the tempo of a game.
Oh, there's no question about it. That's his main job, is to control the tempo and facilitate to his players.
And he just saw a seam right there, got stripped away. Loose ball's picked up by Reginald Christian. Christian looking to high step, pulls it back. Hersey over to the wing is Ed Graves. Hersey now driving from the wing, was walled off. Foul's going to be called on Daryl Miller, I do believe, on the floor. Foul called on number 1. Daryl Miller has 4 games under his belt this year, averaging 7 points a game with a high of 16. He's also averaging 6 rebounds a game.
One thing you will notice with this Memphis team is that they're always moving. And that's how they get the opportunities like that one. Unfortunately, Terrell didn't make that one, but that's why they always get open three-point looks.
And that's from the seasoned coach that we have over on the sidelines in Alondra Rogers, the Illinois State product. She's a great basketball player in her own right, and the most experienced coach here on the sidelines.
So Reginald Christian getting to the cup, getting the 2. That breaks a run there of 6 straight points by Middle Tennessee. 19-11 your score. Dominique Rouse, very athletic, versatile big for Middle Tennessee. He's fouled by Graves.
Dominique Rouse is one of those individuals, although at 6'6", is so versatile, as you said. There were points last season where he would play the point as the backup for Myles Thrash. He would play the 2, he would play the 3, play the 4, the 5. 6'6", yes, he's got a thin frame, but he can play any position. He's a very good scorer, defender, distributor, etc.
You know, when you look at other players in the CBA, Wasim, he kind of reminds me of from Chattanooga, Sturdivant.
Sturdivant, absolutely. Sturdivant, was blessed that he went to a Division I school and then got 2 contracts back-to-back out in Canada, really groomed him. Dominique is looking for that same opportunity. He went to Chattanooga State, a similar area. Now is just looking for that chance to follow the path of Fred Sturdivant.
And Rouse, a lefty with great length. He's got a great wingspan. You can see it out there on the court. I'd like to measure that wingspan because I bet it's pretty impressive.
And Rouse has got 6 games played underneath his belt this year, averaging 9 points a game and averaging 5.2 rebounds a game. As coming up, the rebound is Stevens. Fadeaway jumper, no good. Edward Graves there with the putback.
This is a very scrappy bunch. Like Mississippi, who plays their games out of Memphis. Memphis the same way, very scrappy, loose balls, rebounds, they'll take care of it.
That's Miller getting the rebound after the missed 3-pointer by Rouse.
Good pace right now to the first quarter. Not a lot of fouling up and down the court. It's been very well played here in this first quarter.
Miller for 3, top of the key, no good. Graves with the board. You saw Westbrooks trying to tip it out to one of his players. Did not get enough of it. Christian, beautiful behind the back. 3-point attempt is no good by Cortez Johnson.
Memphis is struggling here from behind the arc.
And I think that won't last very long if they keep getting those open looks. I mean, most of these have been no defender within 3 feet of them. So you keep leaving Memphis with that much space, they're going to start draining these.
So Ryan Westbrooks with the kiss off the glass extends that lead to 10. There's Mario Cain. He's the guy that can get you started when it comes to shooting those 3-pointers. Of course, Cain is a 37-year-old at 6'1", 185 from Victory University. Wasim, we see a lot of guys throughout the CBA from Victory University.
Which is ironic because Scott Robinson, who hopefully we'll have on the broadcast later today, was the head coach at Victory University and recruited these individuals. So a Kieran Jackson, 6'10" for Mississippi, or Terrell Hersey, both played under Coach Scott Robinson when he was the coach there, as well as the athletic director there from 2010 to 2014.
Just inside the arc. That shot's no good by Stevens.
Unfortunately, Victory went through financial troubles and closed down last year. So a lot of those athletes needed a place to play, and the CBA has provided that platform for them.
And they have excelled. Every single name that you just mentioned. Thrash pushed back, finds Pelham, far wing.
Pelham needs to go in the post right. Ooh, nice look by Pelham. Nice and done.
Beautiful feed to to Hunter Harris.
Pelham showing you just another facet of his game. Basketball, court vision.
Christian with the extra pass. Extra pass this time went to Stevens. No good.
They might tip it in their own basket.
Graves got the board and kicked it out to Christian. Graves now driving from the wing. 14-footer, no good. Long rebound by Ryan Westbrooks. So no Bobby Jones, no Lewis McCaster for Memphis, which are arguably their two best players.
Correct. But they're going to rely heavily on the experience of number 6, Edward Graves. Edward Graves, like Ronald Lucas last season, struggled. Edward Graves was someone who came off the bench last year for Memphis, did not have a good game. However, the CBA gave him an opportunity to go to Canada. He learned a lot from that trip, worked hard in the offseason, and now he's one of the focal points in that offense. And if you look at his statistics, he has done well this year on both ends of the floor, scoring and rebounding.
Yeah, Wasim, it's like you said, it's kind of that maturation process where if you watch every single Memphis game, he's a guy that sticks out to you because he's doing a little bit of everything.
Correct, and he's one of those individuals, like we talked about last game with Russell Malone and Frederick Mason. Edward Graves is one of those individuals that did not go to a D1 school, did not go to a university, and so had to put the extra effort just to be noticed or recognized. And this season has been a coming out party for Edward Graves.
Mario Cain getting it going there with his first triple of the game. That brings the Soul Kings to within 11, 27-16. Your score.
And that may get the Soul Kings going right there. Let's see if that leads to more three-point makes, because they're going to keep jacking them up. I can guarantee you that.
Well, Mario Cain, Tim, he can rise up. He's got a quick release.
Yeah, you're going to have to be in his face and be able to leap with him as well. Ooh, Myles Thrash, spin around, 3 at the buzzer.
Do not be surprised if he has over 40 points tonight. Do not be surprised.
Well, as it goes for Thrash, that's his 5th point of the game as the Storm's going to take a 30-16 lead into the second quarter. Tim, what do you take away from that first quarter there, bud?
The first quarter, I like the intensity on both sides. Big thing for Memphis is to miss three-pointers. If they can get a couple of those to go, that could be the difference. I guarantee they wouldn't be down by 14. And as far as the Storms going, not settling, going to the basket, not settling for jumpers, really taking it at the Soul Kings. So impressive first quarter, especially by the Storm. So we'll see what happens going in the second quarter.
Well, joining us in the booth here now, right before the start of the second quarter, is the owner of the Mississippi Eagles, Scott Robinson. And great to have you up here, Scott.
Thanks, guys. Thanks.
What did you think about that game down there? I don't think it could have got much more exciting.
You know, I think they're going to switch it to May Madness or something. Holy smokes. It was a really good game. You know, unfortunately, you know, losing the way we did, you know, just little things here and there. Things we could have done better, you know, missed a lot of free throws. You know, so, you know, but that's a good thing about this league. You know, there's a lot of competitive teams, and, you know, every possession matters. So you got to make sure you're on top of your game.
Scott, I got to hand it to your team. You know, when I looked down there, I didn't see Mardrakus Wade or Kieran Jackson. I thought no shot for these guys, but they played great today.
Yeah, you know, we got a good group of guys. And at the end of the day, you know, in the game of basketball, as long as you compete and rebound and play defense, you're going to be in any game, you know.
Myles Thrash to Torye Pelham. We saw a little bit of fireworks in the first quarter, but beautiful play there from 3 to 15.
Scott, I'd like to ask you quickly about you know, your experience with Coach Cal and that at Memphis. Tell me how that and your experience in the collegiate ranks and recruiting and that sort of thing, how that's translated to the CBA and getting players for your team.
Yeah, you know, in life, you know, it's all about relationships. So I was fortunate to work for the University of Memphis when Coach Cal was there. We had a lot of success. Over a 4-year period, we were 137-14. So, you know, when you're learning from the best, you know, you're just learning every day, indirectly, being around someone like him. And, you know, obviously his success at Kentucky has continued. So, you know, and then just continuing to evolve in the basketball world and business, and, you know, just going off the relationships I've had with all the kids from Memphis and being able to get them to come out. And, you know, we want to showcase them. You know, we're fortunate we have a great owner in Brian Settle and his wife Leslie to be able to help these guys out and be able to get them showcased out there. And, you know, it's been an awesome experience first year. And, you know, Wasim's done a great job with the league, and, you know, how it continues to evolve. We're excited about it.
Well, we're in year number 2, Scott, covering the league, you know, with the Fort Wayne Fly here in Fort Wayne, as that's Kyle Teichman underneath getting the tough 2. Very impressed with what Mississippi was able to do this year. starting the season, Mardrakus Wade was kind of the focal point, but then you bring in a Samson Carter, you bring in a Jeremy Williams, and then you see it today where Russell Malone is really, it seems like he's been that binding force that's kept that team together, and they played fantastic today.
Yeah, Mardrakus is really good. Unfortunately, he couldn't be here this weekend. Do some stuff back home with family situation, but we have a good group of guys. They're competitors. They want to compete every game, and we had our chances, and unfortunately the ball didn't go our way. But I'm proud of our guys and just the continuing evolvement of how this league moves forward.
Yeah, you got to be very proud of your guys and the effort that they displayed tonight, being shorthanded on the road against a home flight.
Yeah.
You got to be very proud of your squad and Coach McKinney and what they've done.
Yeah. I ended up actually having to coach the first game up here, so I had some experience doing that. So, I think it's just, the first game, I like to tell my brothers, because my one's a college coach, I say every great coach loses their first game. I lost my first game in college, and then we ended up, 82-47 over 4 years, so we did pretty well, and then, I lost my first pro game, and, and Coach Jeremy lost his first pro game, so it's just, something, basketball is an awesome game, you're being able to, see tons of talent out here. In this game you got Torye Pelham. I remember him when he was at Southern Miss, and we played against him at Memphis. You see there's a ton of talent. The kid Teachman, 34, was a NAI All-American at Freed Hardeman. And, you see all these kids. I actually played with Mario Cain in college, and he was unbelievable in college. I'll give you a quick story. He had 9 points at halftime. In the second half, he had 43 points against Fisk. 43 points against Fisk, shooting from everywhere. And then Tyrell Hersey played for me at Victory when I was a coach there. So, there's so much talent. That's why you see so many upsets in the NCAA tournament. Because, look at Steph Curry going to Davidson. It's just, more than anything, it's about opportunity. You got to go to the right situation. And more than anything, you just got to be seen. And then when given the opportunity, you got to perform. It's just like, anything else.
And to be able to perform, that's where the work beforehand comes into play.
Yeah. It's been a crazy year. My mother passed away in August, and she had MS for 27 years. But I saw her every day, fight relentlessly, and never made a complaint. And, all I ask, whether I was coaching or doing all these guys, be appreciative for what you have, because, tell your folks you love them, all those little things, because time's flying. Think where we all, think where we all been at, and, especially, where the league is at now. Washington starts it with an idea, and then you're at where you're at now, and then, what's the next step? And, you're just trying to figure out all those things, but along the way, it's a process, and we get caught up in instant gratification, but getting there takes so much time and planning and thinking, and then all these things, and then you don't realize, how appreciative you are for what you've done. And, and so, just being around youth, these guys, hopefully they just take, don't take anything for granted. Playing basketball is a great game. Kobe Bryant's not going to be playing in 10 years. It's crazy to think, one of the best ever. So, hopefully these guys just enjoy this and just an opportunity to compete.
Well, currently right now, Memphis on a 5-0 run, back-to-back buckets by Reginald Christian, and then the free throw there by Edward Graves, as Middle Tennessee's going to go back to Teichman. Right-handed hook shot's no good. That's Thomas Yarborough, newly inserted into this game with the rebound. Yeah,
Yarborough cannot guard Teichman one-on-one down low. 245 is what they have Teichman listed at. I may throw another 15, 20 pounds on that, but he's going to be hard to handle if they keep one-on-one with them. That should have been a travel unless they found they realized the ball was tipped by the Soul Kings, must say what they thought.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it was there, Tim, but that's Torye Pelham with the lay-in.
And Cain drops another three in. That's one gentleman you cannot leave any space. He will raise up and nail it.
Yes, I have no doubt that he scored 43 points and a half, because I've seen him, catch fire from Memphis as well. Right-handed hook shot by Wilkinson Jr. is no good.
That, and he's not hesitant. He's going to keep shooting it. It doesn't matter. He's always going to think that next one's going in.
I'm actually from Indiana, and I played basketball, and here comes another one. He missed that one, but you think you can shoot the ball a little bit. You can't claim you're from Indiana if you can't shoot. I go down to Memphis, and I'm a great catch and shoot guy, but these guys are coming down and going, doing all these moves and then pulling up with no hesitation, and you can't even play defense on these guys. So there's just so much talent. The world's blessed with a lot of great basketball players. I mean, Teachman with an unbelievable move, step through up and under. The basketball world is in great hands, and I'm just excited about what this is about. I know Wasim's done some stuff, initial stuff with Brazil and some stuff with the CBA, and what's the next steps? It's exciting.
Yeah, I think the sky's the limit here for the CBA and the players and general managers and owners involved in this league. Starting at the top with Wasim, going all the way down. It's a very well-run league. I know Jeff and myself are very pleased to be a part of it. So, from the coaching staffs, all the players, it's been referees.
Yeah.
It's been an outstanding experience, and Wasim's not afraid to critique himself and the league and to improve that on a year-to-year basis.
Yeah.
To give the best product available.
Well, I mean, when you look at it, you got the head coach of the four-way flight, played at Indiana, NBDL assistant coach, and then you got the Memphis team's owned by a female, so there's so much diversity. This league's all about opportunities, and being able to give people opportunities, and that's what it's all about. You got to be able to be able to have that, to be able to show what you can do, and there's no limitation. There's tons of diversity, and it's exciting. Moving forward, what we're looking at.
I definitely have to agree with you, Scott. Obviously, you want to get into more states and hopefully be able to separate it into two divisions to where you don't have as much on these particular teams that travel.
Yeah. With one league, with 8 teams in one division, it's not bad either, though. Ideally, you may have, 2 divisions, but, in general, depending on how they split up, we would end up playing against a lot of the teams in the South, which, all teams are good, but, you want to be able to play everybody,
Well, and that's the thing with the CBA, with most of these guys, having, part-time or full-time jobs as well. Fitting that traveling's got to be difficult for these organizations. So, that's what it really shows what players want to be here and want to try to make this game of basketball their career.
Yeah. The game of basketball is so much, kids don't realize, when I first started at Victory, I asked all my players who thought they could play professional basketball, and I kid you not, every one of them raised their hand. But they don't realize just how tough it is. From high school to college, a ton of people fall off, and then from college, it's even more, falling off. So it's just something that, you got to put the time and effort into if you want to be really good and you want to compete, and it's tough to get paid to play basketball, and there's some players that can, and they're blessed to do so.
There's only so many spots in this world to get paid to play basketball, so, with all the players that want to play. Oh! Hello! Two-handed jam right there, and took a look.
Daryl Miller.
Hello.
Showing the elevation there. Boy, when you're committed to something, you just saw it right there. Great results. 46-33 is your score right now with Middle Tennessee on top.
Got the crowd hype in here. Had a little dancing going on in the stands after that slam.
Scott, that's one thing I've noticed with this league. It's entertaining. Game by game, you see some unbelievable athleticism.
That was one athletic play, to say the least, right there.
And they did get a technical foul, I believe, for taunting on Miller. Just took a look at the defender a little bit too long laying on the ground, but definitely got his point across as he definitely jammed it home but couldn't convert.
Oh, did they?
That should have been the personal foul. Now the Soul King should be able to shoot the technical foul.
they'll get their 2 shots.
They'll get their 2 shots in the ball.
Yeah.
And Tyrell Hersey, who hit the last 3-pointer for Memphis, will come to the free throw line.
Hersey unofficially with 4. Good touch there by Hersey. For you young kids out there watching, the backspin. Watch the backspin. That backspin will give you the roll. That shooter's touch is so key. Getting the backspin, getting the follow through.
It's like Hunter Harris is going to check in for Kyle Teichman with the Storm.
And while we got a timeout on the floor, I just want to quickly mention how beautiful Coach Wilhite's pants are over there on the sideline.
I thought that was Craig Sager for a second.
That's a beautiful look. I just had to mention him. I apologize, Jeff. Go ahead.
Now, Coach Wilhite, obviously, coming off a championship, man, he knows what he's doing here in the playoffs.
Yeah, there's no question about it. Experience is such a huge part of sports that if you can go back on, hey, this is what we did to win a championship already. This is what we need to do to win this next one. You're going to have players' attention. You're not going to have guys thinking, hey, I may know more than my coach and that sort of thing. He's proven he's a champion here in the CBA, so if players aren't going to listen to Coach Wilhite, they won't be on the team.
Scott, you see a successful team like Middle Tennessee having a guy like number 3, Myles Thrash. You know, you can kind of plug in players, but he's that solidifying force for that squad. Do you have a player like that at Mississippi? I mean, is Russell Malone that type of guy? Obviously, Mardrakus Wade is ridiculously talented and athletic.
But I think, I think Russell is. I think it's, believe it or not, Thrash, I've seen Thrash play in all these, tournaments in the summer. I've played against him myself. He can play, so you just see him, continue. He's just consistent. That's what he is. He's consistent. He can do a little bit of everything. And he's a good person, and that's what he is. And, Russell, hopefully he can step in and be that for us, as we move forward. For our first year, I'm going to have to get on while I see him a little bit for our projections at the beginning of the year. But we had a great year. We were 4-4, lost 2 close ones at home to Chattanooga, the league champs, by 3 in overtime, and then Bowling Green, they got second, got beat by 7 at home, and we had double-digit leads against both of them. We just, basketball's a game of runs. The Clippers up 17 at home the other night, and the Rockets come back and outscore them like 40-12 in the fourth quarter, and they win double digits. So it doesn't matter what level you're at. You got to hit shots. At the end of the game, you got to hit shots and you got to get stops.
So can never lax. You always got to be like it's your last possession, even if you're up 15, if it's a tied game. Because if you give that other team just a sliver of hope, that's when you're in trouble.
Cain for 3. Front rims to Stevens. Nice kick out to Hersey. They'll give it a shot. No good. Yarbrough there, and he's going to be fouled by Hunter Harris.
Yeah, Yarbrough's come in with some good quality minutes for Coach Rogers, so that's what they needed. Little help off the bench. Only down 11 now, Jeff. They've really been, I think, outplayed here in the first half. Just couldn't get the shots. If they get a couple shots to fall, next thing you know, you're only down 3-4 points, and you're right there in it. So this last 2 minutes of this first half is going to be key as far as momentum going into halftime.
Yarbrough at the free throw line hits the first. Yarbrough on the season averaging 1.2 points per game. He's played in 5 games this season, also averaging 0.6 rebounds a game. So doesn't see a whole lot of minutes, but those guys can be very, very important to your roster when you got to give your stars a spell. Yarbrough hits them both, 39-48 right now. Storm pull within 9.
I think we got a foul down there on the block on Stevens. Yes.
We will pick up the quarterfinals tomorrow with the number 1 seed, Chattanooga Railrunners, taking on the Peoria Panthers, the 8th seed, and then number 2 seed, Bowling Green, to take on the 7th seed, Springfield. Bowling Green's got a very exciting player in Terrace Clemens. I've seen this guy. I mean, his shots. He kind of reminds me of Kobe Bryant in the sense he'll hit those crazy acrobatic shots. You're like, why are you taking that? Oh, because you can make it.
Yeah, it's one of those coaches on the sidelines. No. Oh, yes, thank you. I'm sure you got plenty of experience with that, Scott.
Well, being from Memphis, the Grizzlies were doing it when Steph Curry hit the unbelievable three last night. I mean,
three-quarter?
Unbelievable. And the worst part is they didn't even call the foul. Right. And then they hit the three. So it goes from a possible 2-point game to an 8-point game.
And Steph Curry is the perfect example of work ethic and nonstop trying to get better. Turned himself into the MVP of the best league in the world. So, that's not just all skill from his dad, Dell. I mean, that's mostly work ethic by Steph Curry.
Hersey on the other end.
Nice.
Does finish with a lay-in.
Cut it to 7, Jeff. This is what I'm talking about with momentum going into the second half. Keep it under that 10, and that'll be a huge lift for the Soul Kings, as that was beautifully done by Harris.
Yeah, Hunter Harris once again with the tough lay-in underneath. Extends that lead to 9.
Just strong, just finishing through contact. That was deep.
Hersey misses on the three-pointer. Hunter Harris with the rebound. Thrash goes all the way with it, finishing with the left hand.
To the layman, he didn't do a whole lot, but it was just that little hesitation on the dribble, gave him that extra step to get to the basket. So Myles Thrash, so crafty with the ball.
And Tim, he glides. He doesn't really look like he's running down there. It looks like he's more ice skating. This did used to be a hockey rink. Game
comes very easy to him. There's no question about it.
Well, and Scott, based off what you were saying, it sounds like, with Myles Thrash, he's 34 years old, and the game does look extremely easy, but that's just the hours and the days and the games played throughout the course of the year.
It's just clockwork. When you get older, you play smarter. You can't move as far as you used to. So you gotta think ahead. And so as you get older, you just get. You know what you can and can't do, and you just try to do what you can do well, really well.
Become a little bit more crafty.
You have to.
And that's a perfect thing to say, thinking ahead. You can tell it. Thrash is already 2 moves ahead of when the play. He already knows he's thinking two moves ahead.
Exactly. You can see it. Especially up here. That's the best thing. Watching ththese games, being up here in the box, being able to see. You see things. That the players, it seems they never see on the floor, but, you're just able to see a lot of things that they, the openings within the game and, someone like Myles. But that's why they've had success. That's why they won last year. You got to have guys that know what they're doing and, point guards win games.
Right. Or can lose them.
Oh, yeah.
Or can lose them.
Yeah.
And I think that's another thing that Wasim's done so great is now having the standardized filming at every game. So now you can look at every single game, every possession to help your players become better. Coaches become better. So I mean, it's a huge step for the CBA. And come check out the CBA channel on YouTube. You can see every single game right there on our channel.
Yeah, best just to subscribe so you can get those notifications when a game is posted. Games are usually posted 24 hours after the completion. And it's nice to be able to have that ability to make individual player highlights if a player so chooses. Because, as Wasim was saying, overseas, the video is your resume. To try to make it to the next level, the video is going to be your resume. And when you can have a grouping, a collection of the plays, the hustle plays, the big shots made as Tyrell Hersey hits that first free throw. I believe we have a technical down on the court.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened there. Kind of missed the call.
Hersey's going to make one, miss the second. That'll pull his team to within 10, 52-42.
Huge possession right here. They can hold it for the last shot. Only 1 second differential from shot to game clock. So they want to keep it here within 10. Don't want to push it to 12 or 13. Doesn't sound like many points, but mentally it's a big difference.
So Christian's going to pick up Thrash right at half court. Pelham.
Oh, there's that lob. Good pick up there, nicely by Cain.
Reginald Christian with the
And
steal.
that's huge.
And lay-in.
Huge for the Soul Kings. Huge for the Soul Kings to put it within 8.
Good to see you, Scott.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Thanks, Scott. Appreciate you for
Absolutely.
joining us.
And it was a great performance by the Mississippi Eagles today, just losing to the Flight. And here, after the Reginald Christian steal and lay-in, the Storm are going to head into halftime with an 8-point advantage, 52-44. We'll take a break up here in the booth, and we'll be back with you with 5 minutes left until the second half. And welcome back, everyone, as we are just 2 minutes away from the start of the second half with the Middle Tennessee Storm up 52-44 over the Memphis Soul Kings. We'll look at the scoring, starting with the Storm first. Miller with 2 points. Daryl Miller with 2 points. Dominique Rouse with 2. Myles Thrash with 7. Ryan Westbrooks with a team high and a game high, 15 points. Torye Pelham with 10. Hunter Harris with 8. And Kyle Teichman with 8 points. Looking at the Soul Kings, Mario Cain, he's got 2 3-pointers under his belt, and he's got 10 points for Memphis. Edward Graves with 5. Yarborough with 2. Martikus Morgan with 2. Tyrell Hersey with 9. And Reginald Christian with 11 points. In this game, Middle Tennessee held the lead 30-16 after the first quarter, Tim. But it was Memphis really narrowing that gap in the second quarter.
And it was huge, that last play to go into halftime, to cut that lead to within 8 was huge, emotionally, mentally, however you want to call it, for the Soul Kings. I'm sure that gave Coach Rogers a little bit more, gave the players a little bit more attention to Coach Rogers during halftime. So Soul Kings definitely can pull this out. This game's not over, even though they've been, I would say, outplayed for the most part. I think if Christian can get some help, get a couple threes, see if Cain can get hot here in the second half, because Christian's going to the bucket at will. So if he can kick it out to a couple open threes, and the Soul Kings hit a couple, they get right back in this game, Jeff.
And Memphis, once again, playing without its top 2 players. And it's hard to say the top 2 players because of all the teams in the CBA, they might be the most diversified as far as how they're able to spread the scoring throughout the whole roster, Tim, not just their starting 5. But like I said earlier in the broadcast, there's games where you would see them sub 5 players in, 5 players out, see who's got the hot hand, put together, that final roster, that final 5 out on the floor for the final 5 minutes of the fourth quarter. Right. So, playing without a Bobby Jones and a Lewis McCaster, and I think if anybody asks who's the captain of Memphis, you might probably go with Lewis McCaster.
Yeah.
But, they're hanging in here hard, just like we saw with Mississippi in game number 1.
Yeah, and I think really the leadership comes from Coach Rogers at the top. She's an outstanding coach, great basketball IQ. So, Soul Kings play with her kind of mentality, which I love as a basketball fan.
Well, here we are, the start of the third quarter. That's Myles Thrash battling against Christian. Goes down to Harris. Right-hand shot's no good. Rebounded by Hersey. We've already seen so many great athletes come throughout the McMillan Center here with all the teams in Fort Wayne for the playoff weekend.
Good steal there by Harris, but couldn't, kind of slipped down and dribbled the ball off his leg. So we're going to stay with the Soul Kings. They're going to call a foul there, I believe, a pushing foul.
Be very exciting to see what happens here with the Central Basketball Association Awards coming up here. We should have a story for you probably Monday. Is that what you were thinking, Wasim, as far as the awards?
Absolutely. I think once things settle down from the scores from the games tomorrow, we'll have a story up hopefully Monday or Tuesday. I think coming out of this weekend, everyone is more focused on who won and who's advancing.
Yeah, definitely.
Obviously, we'll have our individual awards or at least the MVP and Coach of the Year awards given tomorrow. However, we got 2 games after that, and people will be focused on that.
Nice rebound there by Hunter Harris, just taking it as Graves left that shot just a little bit short. Ryan Westbrooks will retreat.
And that's a heady play by Westbrooks. Was going to go to the bucket, saw Teichman right there. Dribbled out 2 times, got the bucket down low. Now they got a double team, and it ends up in almost a dunk for Pelham. So great play. It's just those small things that Westbrooks does.
Cain for 3. Does miss, but Hersey's there with the rebound. Great pass there to Graves as he's fouled. Foul going to be called on the floor. Will go against. Okay, so Ryan Westbrooks with his second foul. It's the team's first here in quarter number 3. Antonio Cannon and the Fort Wayne Flight live to fight another day, as not next weekend, but the weekend to follow. The Flight will be taking on the winner of the Chattanooga-Peoria game, which takes place tomorrow, 2 p.m.
And it looks like Chattanooga is in the building as well, scouting potential opponents here. Down below, you see Dante Hampton, E.J. Ward was here with Alex Wells. That is going to be a great game tomorrow against Peoria, and I wouldn't count out Peoria. It was tied 53-53 at halftime when they played 2 weeks ago. We'll see what happens tomorrow afternoon.
And that was a road trip for the Chattanooga Rail Runners in Illinois, where they played Peoria and then Springfield. You're right, they were tied with Peoria, then came on strong in the second half. That game against Springfield, they just came out running as Chattanooga got the victory. Long rebound by Hunter Harris as Thrash is pushing it up the floor.
Nice block by Graves.
Graves with the big block. Hersey on the other end, going up with the right hand, no good. Contested by Teichman. Thrash, beautiful feed to Pelham, absolutely. As Teichman,
Travel.
they'll call him with the travel. He's talking, he had his pivot foot down, but Teichman able to finish there, took some contact to the face. That just goes to show you the body that he brings.
Great pump fake by Stevens. Such a huge facet of the game of basketball that's almost been forgotten is the pump fake. Huge offensive move. Young players out there, that pump fake will get you shots.
Yep.
And you'll see tomorrow afternoon the individual that is the master of the pump fake in this league is E.J. Ward.
Yes.
And you'll see him. He will make grown men look like children with the moves that he makes. Small 5'8" guard, extremely talented. If you're averaging around 9 assists a game, in an era where everyone is about me, right, about scoring, E.J. Ward, finds a way to make other players better.
Yep.
Timmy, talk about the importance of that pump fake. When the feet leave the court, they got nothing.
Yeah, there's no you're done defense. Your stance is gone. You have no way to stop the offender if you're in the air. So it could cause a foul. You could put your team in foul trouble, give up wide open looks, give up wide open dribble drives. So pump fake's huge.
The key aspect, Tim, though,
beautiful reverse lay-in by Tyrell Hersey.
The key aspect, Tim, is that even in that pump fake situation, the guy who did the pump still needs to finish.
Correct.
And that's something right now. It's been very sloppy play on both sides of the court right now, where teams are struggling to finish.
Right.
Harris coming up a little gingerly after that contact, was looking for the feed from Thrash, knocked out of bounds.
Yeah, I think Thrash would have been better served with the bounce pass right there. It's always easier to drop a bounce pass in traffic like that when there's so many hands up around waist high. So a lot of times that bounce pass is a great arse. There's that pump fake, nicely done by Teichman.
There's the finish. There were two individuals that I had circled for this game at the beginning, like we talked about. One was Kyle Teichman. As you see, the Bowling Green team just showing up.
Yep.
Kyle Teichman for Middle Tennessee and Terrell Hersey for Memphis. And right now, Terrell Hersey has about 9 points and Teichman at 10. So key aspects.
Beautiful lay in there by Myles Thrash, making it look so easy, Tim, as a 34-year-old.
Yeah, Thrash so crafty, as Scott mentioned earlier in the first half. Just so crafty. Is 2-3 moves ahead of everyone else.
Pass intercepted there by Hersey, looking to finish on the other end. Left-handed shot left short as possessions go into Middle Tennessee.
Yeah, I think that's a good no call right there. I mean, you're going to get knocked down in the game of basketball sometimes. It doesn't necessarily mean it's a foul. You can have some body contact without it being a foul. So I think the referees are doing a great job of swallowing the whistles here on some of this contact.
Kevin Wilkinson Jr. into the lineup for Harris.
This is an important game for both Bowling Green and Springfield as you see them scouting, because they will play the winner of this matchup next or 2 Saturdays from now.
Right. Again, Memorial Day weekend, a week earlier than normal. So we'll be off next weekend. We'll join you for the weekend of the 30th.
PlayCBA.com, the website where you can get all the updates on player transactions, who's being signed overseas. Wasim, 52 players already. We're in year 3 of the Central Basketball Association, but 52 players already sent overseas?
Yeah, and of those 52, primarily you're looking at, after season 1, after season 2. We haven't even finished season 3 yet, and we haven't reached the off season. Our goal is by the end of season, the fiscal year for the 3rd season, and before we start the 4th season, we'll be at 100 plus.
That's amazing.
And you have
Great
to look.
take by Westbrooks.
Out of those 52 individuals, 28 got contracts. That's a great percentage. That's over 50%.
Yeah, that's huge. I mean, there's not, somebody that's working another job trying to put this game of basketball into a career to lay those type of statistics down for them is huge.
And here's the other thing. I mean, if you're looking at, we're not counting 2015 numbers where we had over 100 NCAA players come on board, but looking at 2013 and 2014, there were 140 former collegiate athletes. Out of that, 52 went abroad. So that's a third of the players that are playing in the CBA have had opportunities to go abroad.
Huge.
And our goal is, as we move forward, we raise that percentage from 33% to 50 to 60.
Yeah,
so.
Absolutely. And the way this is being ran and the effort that we're all putting into it, especially yourself, the sky's the limit for us here, Wasim.
It is everyone that's putting the effort.
Right.
I mean, you have to look at, there's various different aspects. I mean, we have our scouts that are on board that are working hard, the statisticians that are on board that are working hard, the videographers that are working hard, the photographers, the coaches, the owners, the staff, everything. It's a grassroots effort, but it takes everyone to succeed.
That was Stevens there with the miss, and a nice three-point shot there by Graves. So I believe that's the 4th three-pointer made by the Soul Kings in this game. That's going to pull them to within 5, 58-30.
And they haven't been this close since the first.
No, they haven't. And Graves, if he can hit that open 3, that opens up that dribble drive, which is his strong suit. That would open it up huge. So just hitting one may lax the defense a little bit, and he can take the next couple to the bucket.
And if you look at all the games for Memphis, when Graves starts hitting those threes, it somehow encourages Hersey to hit the 3. Cain to hit the 3, and obviously Bobby Jones isn't here, but he would hit the 3.
Shooting's contagious. There's no question about it.
Miller coming up with the steal, finds Pelham. No doubt about that one. 2-hand flush.
You get him on the wing with less than 2 players in front of him. It's 99% positive he's going to jam it on you.
60-53 now as the lead's extended to 7 for Middle Tennessee. Pretty much led this game throughout. As Hersey pulls up.
What did I tell you? Hersey, he will find a way. He's going to get hot.
Back-to-back three-pointers for Memphis.
He's jawing a little bit too on the floor right now, getting into this ball game.
He's feeling it. Pelham's fadeaway is no good. Frank Thaxton with the putback.
Frank Thaxton, a Memphis native, knows a lot of these individuals from the Soul Kings, so there's a lot of pride on the line for him versus the Soul Kings.
Thaxton's first 2 of the game.
Cain, oh.
There they go. That's the 4th this quarter.
So Mario Cain's three-pointer is going to pull the Soul Kings to within 3. 62-59 is your score with 4:20 left to play here in the third. Looks like Daryl Miller remains in the game here for Middle Tennessee.
Daryl Miller is an interesting story. He's playing right now more in the backcourt for Middle Tennessee, in that 2-3 role. He actually is the leading rebounder in the history of Fisk University. He actually played center as 6'2", so I don't know if that's a testament to his versatility or to Fisk University,
right.
But he is a very talented individual.
I believe we got a shot clock violation.
I don't think it reset.
It never did reset. They should correct this. There should be about 8 or 9 left on the clock, I think.
Correct.
It felt like.
Referees over to scoring table. That's one thing we've seen all night. Referees will stop the action to make sure they get the calls right, which is the most important thing.
They've done a great job. A lot of individuals will complain that the referees are slowing the tempo of the game down, calling whistles. But in a game like this that could come down to the wire, every decision is so important, and the referees have done a great job, not only tonight, but this whole season, of taking control of the game and making sure that the right decision is made.
Absolutely.
And even incorporating the twist of going to the FIBA rules this year and having to adjust with that as well.
Yeah, this is Memphis ball, but I guess, Daryl Miller tried to sneak one past the referees there.
Hey, it doesn't hurt to try. That's a little gamesmanship.
Doesn't hurt to try.
So Reginald Christian with the inbounds now, 62-59, 3:46 left here in the third. Cain, who just came off that big three-pointer,
If
kicks
they
out.
can pop this.
Tied up.
Tied up at 62. Tim, you pointed it out a few minutes ago. Edward Graves, he hits those threes. This is going to become a very good ball game.
There's no question about it. Watch the rest of his team kind of raise and elevate their games to match his game as they tied it up right now. Got to be feeling awesome right now.
I mean, midway through the second, Middle Tennessee had an 18-point lead, and since then, Memphis has really
They've outplayed them.
Yeah,
they've outplayed them.
Cain on the other end, floater, rattles in.
Look at what happened last weekend. Middle Tennessee had the lead at Memphis. In the third quarter, Memphis came out and outscored Middle Tennessee by 15 or 17 points. And they've now outscored them. They were down by 8. They've outscored them by 10 here in the third.
Right.
Yeah, the score was 52-44 with Middle Tennessee up by 8 at the break. Martikas Morgan's going to come in for Mario Cain. If I'm a Soul Kings fan, I don't want to see Mario Cain head to the bench. He's been fantastic.
No question about it.
5 straight three-pointers by Memphis, starting with Graves, Hersey, Cain, Graves, Cain.
Now, watch for Myles Thrash to really try to take over, bring this team.
Teichman had that ball stripped from behind by Stevens, but he's going to head to the free throw line.
And you can tell the confidence there by Teichman. Had Thrash wide open. They doubled down on Teichman. Teichman still knew he had the position in the low block, so no reason to kick it out when you have the position. So went with the drop step and got fouled going one.
And those are things that scouts look at.
Yeah.
There might be an individual in the stands that might say, hey, he's double teamed, you might want to kick it out. But Teichman realized in that situation that he had the height advantage and the positional advantage. And look, now he's at the free throws, where it has been his strength.
He's playing like an All-American.
Yes,
It doesn't much matter what level. When you get to that status to where you're being honored amongst all of your peers, you're basketball savvy. You know what you're doing.
I mean, think about it. We have 2 NAIA All-Americans that played in the CBA. One is Kyle Teichman and one is Kalen Kimberlin out of Bowling Green, and both have excelled this season, grown a lot here in the CBA.
And I think the sky's the limit as well. I hate to use that term quite a bit, but that's just the overall feeling I get about a lot of players in this league and the teams. It's Love to see it as they go back behind the back to Graves. No good.
Teichman with the board, but you've definitely seen the momentum swing Memphis way. Coming off a turnover, would see it happens this time is Dominique Rouse with the lay-in.
Nice look there by Thrash.
You know, last weekend when Memphis had a double-digit lead, it's Thrash who took over the game. I'm waiting for him to start scoring. He's you know, teasing Memphis right now by not shooting yet.
Reginald Christian, I know Coach Wilhite wanted a travel call there, but Christian's sticking with it.
I think that was a good no call.
68-66 is your score with Memphis on top. Thrash, I'm not sure if he's even shot a three-pointer today. I'm sure he's just gearing up, though.
He had one early in the first quarter.
Yeah, but I think he's just 1 for 1, Jeff.
You know, Myles Thrash is one of those individuals who wants to go out with a bang. This is his final season, supposedly, in the CBA.
We'll
see. He said that last year, and then they won a championship and came back. But he is a great, great asset for this league as well as the Middle Tennessee Storm.
Fadeaway jumper, no good by Teichman.
Ooh, looks like a little flag football, tackle football, sorry. Here on center court.
And that was good defense by Morgan on Teichman, not giving that drop step to the lane. So outstanding defense there. Make Teichman go with his secondary move, not his first move.
Yeah, you saw Tim right there. Marticus Morgan had no problem shaking him off. Those are two big bodies. And joining us up here in the booth now is the owner of the Fort Wayne flight, the flight coming off that great victory over Mississippi just moments ago, Benny Lewis. Benny, what'd you think about that ending?
I tell you what, it was the confusion sometimes with, going to FIBA rules, that one, calling the timeout while the ball is live.
Right.
When, a lot of our teams around the country, we play all of the different rules, and sometimes in the heat of a moment, you revert back to a college rule, or you revert back to a high school rule.
That's what you're used to.
Because what you're used to, and
that's exactly what's happened right here, Benny. Was it Hersey was caught on the baseline, couldn't go nowhere, reverted back to the college days, tried to call a timeout, and just got technical.
Exactly, same thing. Yeah, you can't call time. It's just you can't call timeout to get out of trouble. You can't call timeout to like as you're going out of bounds. When it's a live ball, the clock is always running, so you can't.
Right. And the coach is the only one that can call the timeout.
Exactly.
Players cannot
call timeout at all.
And I'll tell you what, though, I've really enjoyed the switch to FIBA rules because it speeds up the game. It seems like it's a little bit more fast-paced, a little bit more exciting.
Right.
And it's not. And with 40 minutes and 5 fouls, you have to take care of the ball a little bit more. You don't get a lot of second chances with things. It's just you got to continuously play, and the team is never really out of the ball game. And so every possession, you don't get an opportunity to waste any possessions.
Right. And that was the main thing I took away from Coach Wilmot after last week's game, where he's just saying it's a game of possessions. You need to take care of the ball.
Right.
Reginald Christian off the glass, gets the bucket, and he's headed to the line looking for the and one. Benny, what do you think about Memphis here really just taking over in the third quarter when Middle Tennessee held an 8-point advantage? Shoot, they were up by 18 points at one point in this game.
16 to 18 points in the first half.
Memphis is one of those teams that they're never out of the ball game. They're a really good shooting team, and they can get hot at any time. The other thing about them too is that they're they're a team that's used to playing from behind. So 12-point leads, 14-point leads don't bother them because they have the confidence in their shooters to be able to go and just strike at any time. So they get a string of, five tray balls is nothing for them.
Right.
And they're right back in the game. And so
which is 15 points.
Right.
That's a big deal.
Right.
Benny, they hit 4 3-pointers in a row here in the third quarter. And I know you saw that when they came to Fort Wayne to take on the Flight in the regular season.
And they can, and when they get on a roll like that, they stay on a roll. They stay on that roll. They're just a really, really good shooting team.
And then if you put Graves out here hitting the three as well, I mean, that opens up the game for Memphis so much when your big guys hitting the three with consistency as well.
Yeah, they're an exciting team to watch. I mean, and Alondra, the coach, she coaches with a lot of love for those players too. I mean, there's one big shout out to her because she really puts a lot of confidence in those guys, and they do a good job for her.
Yeah, we've mentioned Alondra Rogers, outstanding coach, only female coach in the CBA, most experienced coach in the CBA. She's outstanding when it comes to relating to her players and even the X's and O's of it as well.
Right.
Thrash missing there on the lane as Christian takes it on the other end. Percy's going to be called with the travel. Benny, your son, Benny Jr., is no longer playing in Australia. Is that correct?
No, he's still playing in Australia. He's finishing off that season in Australia. That goes until August, but he'll finish that season, take a good night's sleep, and then head off to England to play for the Plymouth.
The Plymouth Raiders.
Plymouth Raiders. Right. So he seems to be playing basketball, every other day, even now. So he's just sort of continued that AAU circuit type of thing going on. AAU circuit, college, and there's no off season. You just keep going all of the time. But I mean, he enjoys it.
That's
so
that's you proud as a father.
Oh, he really does. He does. He enjoys it, Tim, and he just. And then in the off season, also when he does get some time, he comes back and works out with the flight and comes and plays in a few exhibition games as well. So he helps. We're one big family here in Fort Wayne. With all of the players, and the MAC has just sort of been able to help us hone in all of those. I mean, we get everybody in here, during with our open gyms and things like that. All of the high school players, all the college players, all the pro players, they all come back here. All overseas players we had from Deshaun Thomas and when they come home and Swanigan and everybody just comes in here and plays. It's been really, really good that way for us,
And the flight players have definitely benefited. And Benny, I know that you had mentioned this to me before the season even started, but Antonio Wilson is really his game. I almost feel like he's improved 100% from last year.
I agree. Well, he was actually nursing an injury, a foot injury all last year as well. But we know him, and we know the type of ball player that he is. And the nice thing about him is that he's now getting back to that form.
That aggression on the boards,
exactly,
this year is bar none.
Right.
I mean, one of the most aggressive rebounders in the CBA.
Correct.
And at his youth and his wingspan, his athleticism, the sky's the limit.
The sky's the limit. Exactly. I agree with you. And he was that type of ball player in high school at Northside, and then he went off to college and played a couple of years at Glen Oaks Junior College. But since then, it's just been he's constantly working on his craft, constantly working on his game, constantly, and as you can see, he's had and I'm so proud of him and happy for him because he's been able to go overseas go overseas and play in Canada and also in China, with touring teams. And just get the experience that he's needed to just come back to the CBA this year and just do a real good job.
Yeah.
Well, Benny, a huge shout out to you because you can tell that the Fort Wayne Flight truly are a family. Because even on the road, you're bringing, for the most part, your whole team every single time. It seems like the guys really stick together.
They do. They've had an opportunity to get to know each other. I mean, like I said, we look at the CBA season as our showcase season, where we actually we're documenting everything and we're videoing everything and all of that. But the rest of the year, we're looking for games and we're playing games. We're working out and staying in shape and trying to and going to tryout camps and combines and things like that to constantly get better as ball players. Because, I mean, obviously the ultimate thing is for guys to get contracts like my son and to go and continue on playing. So
Play basketball as your career.
As a career, correct.
Yeah, absolutely. Which is what every single player on these courts want to do. I can guarantee you that.
And Benny, not every player that signs overseas is signing a multi-million-dollar contract like LeBron or some of the NBA superstars. But in the same sense, they're making a living doing what they love, and they're able to save some of that money. Is that right?
That's right. And also have the opportunity to travel the world,
right?
You know, and see other cultures and be a part of other cultures. It's one thing to visit a place; it's another thing to go there and live.
Yes.
You know, for 6 or 8 months, and then find out how it is, and find out how the things are, and do a lot of things while you're there. So. They do well. They do well. I mean, and we're up to like about 56 players that we've sent overseas from the CBA, and that number is just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah, Wasim reiterated this exact same thing moments ago.
It's just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And the play. I mean, the players enjoy it. You know, they enjoy the style of basketball, and we've been trying our best to develop that camaraderie amongst teams as well, you know, amongst players within the teams.
You know, you look at one of your players in Antonio Cannon, who was the 2014 CBA MVP, but this year has really changed his game to a game that might adapt better overseas, and therefore some of the accolades or some of the high point totals have not been there this year for Antonio Cannon. But how do you judge his progress from year one to this year?
Well, I think he's become a glue for us. You know, he's doing the intangibles now. He's making his free throws. He's taking more of a leadership role. He's the captain of our team, and with the two Antonios, Cannon and Wilson, you know, we sort of rely on them. Rely on them to do what it is that they do. I mean, he's scoring baskets when we need them, you know, as opposed to taking volume shots. Right. He's scoring shots, but he's scoring baskets when we need them.
And you saw that tonight, Benny, towards the end of the game. He was taking it hard to the cup.
Correct.
And finishing.
Yeah. I mean, and knocking down those free throws, and well, I'll put it like this. He wasn't involved in, when they went to the Hackett Shack, they weren't fouling him.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
We're calling it a hack of DeAndre Jordan.
Exactly. Well, they didn't use him as that individual to do that with, because he was knocking them down. Right. But
and Cannon is, from the feedback that Wasim told us that he got was, you need to, especially at his height, you can't change that.
Right.
All right. So as you go up levels, you're going to get playing against bigger guys, more athletic guys. So he's got to get that well-rounded game as a point guard to be able to facilitate running offense.
Huge three-pointer there by Kyle Teichman, as that's going to give Middle Tennessee back the lead, 79-78.
And I think that goes to Cannon's unselfishness, as in, he could still come out here and put up 25 shots, but he's not doing that for the overall benefit of the team. And he sees the big picture of himself trying to make a career out of the game of basketball, which his skill set, there's no reason he can't get to that point.
Well, see, the thing of it is that it's his. I think his goal this year is to win a championship.
Team goal.
Team goal.
And that says a lot about it.
Right.
Yeah.
He wants to win a championship. Now, how do you go about doing that? You have to. It's that old less is more type of situation where he's shooting less, but sharing the ball more, distributing the ball more, allowing his teammates to get into the play. Right. Those types of things, not demanding the ball, less being more. Yeah. And it's been an adjustment for him. because he's been the guy.
Right. Yeah. Right.
His
whole life.
His whole basketball career.
Yeah.
He's been the guy. Yeah. So now to take on that role, because I think, like I said, he wants to hoist up the trophy. I mean, like, as people like E.J. Ward is probably thinking the same thing, and Myles Thrash out here today is that individual that knows what it feels like, and so
wants it again.
He wants it again.
Yeah. Hunger.
Yeah. So
not being satisfied.
It's one thing to take for you to get that individual, the highest award as an individual. It's another thing to elevate everybody else so that you all can share in the highest award.
That's well said. Right?
Yeah, and when you say that, you can't help but think of Michael Jordan. I mean, don't get me wrong, he had Scottie Pippen next to him, Dennis Rodman, but a lot of those guys were role players that he made great players because of who he is.
Bill Wennington, John Paxson, it goes on and on.
Exactly. Yep. Because if you want to win, in a team game, you got to have.
This ain't tennis, it ain't golf.
You got to have all of those players. And the difference between a championship as opposed to an MVP. The MVP is awarded to you. Championship, you got to win. You got to beat some people to get it.
That's right. That's beautifully said right there.
You got to beat some people to get that. Nobody just gives it to you.
Well, that's Daryl Miller there completing the three-point play, and just like that, Middle Tennessee's up by 4 now at 82-78.
Yeah, Middle Tennessee coming back a little bit, regrouping, and are pushing through that run by the Soul Kings. So.
And, you look down the floor and you see a guy like Myles Thrash, who just got done coaching up Hunter Harris. Mm-hmm. He's going to keep his team close.
There's no question.
No doubt about it. He is for him to miss like three or four of the games early on in the season because of AAU coaching commitments. He came back in the last 3 or 4 games, and I think all his games was over 30, weren't they?
Yeah, 36. He had 36 last time out against these guys. He had a three-pointer.
Yeah, he just went on a tear to just reintroduce himself back into the league. So it's good players.
And that's Christian down on the floor right now, Reginald Christian.
Which Memphis absolutely cannot afford to lose.
No, huge player for the Soul Kings. Looks like he's grabbing the knee, which is never good. Wish him the best down there. And our athletic trainer here at the MAC Center, is that
Fort Wayne.
Fort Wayne Orthopedics? Mm-hmm. Okay.
And Fort Wayne Orthopedics has been the main athletic trainers for the Fort Wayne Flight
for the last since our inception. So. And they do a really good job. They do a really good job. I mean,
that's good to see right there.
You've seen ECFWO all over Fort Wayne. They're at St. Francis, they're at Homestead, and at Carroll, 2 of the largest schools in the city of Fort Wayne.
Mm-hmm. And well-run schools, I might add.
Absolutely.
That's a shame there for Christian. Hate to see that happen, especially with just 5.5 to go.
Yeah. And, without a Bobby Jones.
Yeah, already shorthanded.
Yeah.
All right.
We wish him the best, no question about that.
So back to the action where Middle Tennessee is up right now, 82-79, 5:19 left here in the fourth. Mario Cain rises up. Mario Cain was a part of that big run where Memphis hit 4 3-pointers in a row, and we are tied at 82 right now. Cain, Tyrell Hersey, Edward Graves.
Too easy. Yeah. That's way too easy. That started on the post feed right there. The defender out on the perimeter, not putting enough pressure on the passer, made it way too easy to get the ball into the post, and you're done.
Yeah. Hunter Harris is a great player for Middle Tennessee this season. He's got only 3 games under his belt, averaging 4.3 rebounds and 11 points per game.
He's a beast in there in the post. I mean, you have to.
Nice block.
You have to give him double coverage. If you don't, you let him get in an isolated situation, and he's just tough.
Yeah, and then
He's
once
just
he feels
really
comfortable knowing that you're not sending anybody, he is going to take you to task.
I was going to say, how do you double team him when you got Thrash down on the floor?
Defensive rotation, coaching.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a way to defend everything.
You got to show and go.
Yep.
You got to show and go. You let him see it, and then recover. But
and then switching it up. Can't do the same thing over and over.
Right. See now.
Somebody needs a dig on him. See, that's too easy.
Harris gets right past Martikas Morgan. I feel like Martikas Morgan made the wrong step there.
And that's what you're talking about, Benny. Is you at least have somebody have to come down to dig to put a little pressure on it, so he doesn't think he has a walk to the lane, to the bucket. So.
Right.
Cortez Johnson just a little bit too strong there with the take.
Look at that. Another. Oh, we got
Harris blocked from behind by Graves, but Torye Pelham with the putback.
Love Pelham's energy and athleticism. He's so fun to watch.
Yeah.
6-0 run right now for Middle Tennessee as they're up 88-82. Three-point attempt by Graves is no good. Westbrooks coming up with the ball.
Beautiful. Oh, just couldn't get the roll, but that was a nice take by Westbrooks.
Cain out to Graves. Opted not to take it. Hersey looking for a top of the key. Goes down low to Johnson.
Pelham didn't even have to jump on that block. Good defense there.
Miller to Pelham.
Man,
once again,
watch.
Isolated again.
Yep.
Isolated again.
Yep.
Right-handed hook shot, no good. Graves with the board. It's got Harris on his back. Hersey with some separation up to Johnson.
Good no call by the referees.
Morgan cannot finish. Westbrooks now over to Miller. Thrash going to reset the offense here, top of the key.
Yep, new shot clock. Nice look.
Harris left all alone.
Soul Kings just look like they're laxing a little bit on defense, not giving as much effort as they have to get themselves back in the game. And now you see the difference, down by 8 again.
Yeah, Hunter Harris with 6 of his team's 8 points here. The last 8 points, that's Hunter Harris. As that one just was halfway down, Tim popped out.
Yep.
Thrash now driving from the corner, leaves it up for Miller.
And that offensive set was done with Pelham hanging out here on the other charity stripe. And the Soul Kings still gave up a bucket right at the cup. So Coach Rogers definitely not amused by that.
No, and she's trying to get Reginald Christian back into this game because this run here of 10 straight points has happened with Christian out being attended to.
Which is not a coincidence.
No.
But that is awesome to see. Reginald Christian coming back in the game, toughing it out. A little bit of a limp, but hopefully once he starts going, that'll loosen up for him.
Benny, talk about these CBA matchups. A lot of parity in the CBA. I mean, obviously bragging rights are on the line, but these guys look at it like this is some major ball being played here.
Coach Wilmot and I were just down on the floor looking at it, looking at the matchups in the league. Well, just with the records alone, going into the last weekend, we had five teams that were tied for second, where they were all 4-3 going into the last round. And the first aside from Chattanooga, the top 3 seeds were decided by percentage points. So.
Yeah, Fort Wayne could have very easily have gotten the second seed.
And Memphis was a third seed as well. We just sort of switched positions all throughout the league, all throughout the year. The flight went from first to, I think at one stage in one poll we had moved all the way down to 6th at one stage. So it's just with a game in between. So nothing. you still have to win your games. You still have to win your game. So,
well, Memphis needed that three-pointer by Tyrell Hersey because Middle Tennessee was on a big-time run there of 14 unanswered points.
Yeah, Jeff, I think that's just a case of a little too late here. 11-point lead, minute 20 to go. I'm very impressed with Coach Wilhite's Storm, weathering, pardon the pun, weathering the storm, and coming through the back end of it, and now up by 11 with the game in control.
And you know what? All season long, Dominique Rouse has been a major contributor for him, and he hasn't really had to do much in this game for Middle Tennessee to win.
I unofficially have him down for 4 points for Rouse, and 2 boards. This has all been without him, so they got to feel good going into the 2 weeks from now into the next matchup.
1:11 left to play.
You got to understand something about the Middle Tennessee Storm. They're the reigning champions. Okay, they've done this dance before. 4 points, 6 points, individual stats doesn't necessarily mean anything to those players. They're here to win the champ. They're here to go back to back. That's their goal. And whether they creep into it or creep into that championship or whatever it is, they're gonna play. And it's all done through the leadership of that man right there. Don't. It's no mistake when Thrash is back out there on the basketball court because he's a great floor general. And
not only a floor general, the kid can score.
Right.
He can flat out score if he has to.
If he has to. Correct. He's tough as nails.
He's the real deal.
Yeah.
Now you give him a couple more,
Cain?
3, 5 more inches, boy. He might be in the league with his attitude. I mean, it's never give up. Great work ethic.
Yeah.
And he's got good length as a point guard. I really, I've told Jeff many times, he's one of my favorite players in the league. Myles Thrash.
Myles Thrash is a great player. He's got a good head on his shoulder too. He's high basketball IQ.
And now he's giving back with the AAU.
Right.
That's
exactly.
outstanding.
Exactly.
Kind of like a Fort Wayne flight player from last year, Chase Sanders, with his total package elite AAU squad. So a lot of these players, whether they realize that, playing the game isn't what they want to do anymore and they want to go more to the coaching aspect, they're still giving back. I mean, how many kids in Fort Wayne are going to be blessed by Chase Sanders being in their life?
Yeah. That's right.
Right. Yeah, because Chase is kicking coaching ideas off with Coach Wilmot, who talks with you about basketball, so it's an endless thing.
It's long nights and long conversations all of the time. I mean, I think we spend more time, discussing the game than actually getting out there and working with some folks. But and we're talking about everything from the youngest players that walk in here all the way up to NBA players, and just looking at their development throughout. All the way through.
And
so
it's not only the great AAU programs in Fort Wayne with the species and that. It's the Parks and Recreation here in Fort Wayne that have produced Division I talent, and outstanding players. Caleb Biggie Swanigan being one. So, it's thank you, Benny, for what you've done for Fort Wayne and Parks and Rec, and bringing us helping bring this facility to life as well.
Well, it's been a blessing because prior to this facility, all of our basketball was played outside, and then Speece came along, and then Sport One came along, and then now this. Other than that, we were, trying to get into any of the high school and middle school gyms, and just to work guys out. But the nice thing about Parks and Rec is that we do have outdoor facilities, and all of the parks got outdoor facilities. So we just ran all of our games outside during the summer. So that was great summer league basketball. So
absolutely, and not only the progression that you're going to give the kids, and the coaching and the tutelage that you're going to give the younger kids in Fort Wayne, it also gives them an outlet to get whether they're frustrated with parents or whatever the case may be. They have that outlet, here in Fort Wayne, whether it's they're in the McMillan area, wherever they're at in town, you know?
Exactly. Well, it's definitely a Fort Wayne branding with Parks and Rec, because we try to put a T-shirt on just about anybody we can.
That we noticed, Benny. That we noticed. I think you have stacks of T-shirts you just roll with.
Just roll them all out there. But you see Fort Wayne Parks and Rec T-shirts everywhere.
They look sharp though with that fluorescent yellow on the front. It looks good.
It looks nice. So,
well,
go ahead, Jeff.
Mario Cain's hit 3 3-pointers in a row here for Memphis, but it's just not enough as Middle Tennessee's up 104-95, 26 seconds left to play.
Thrash and Westbrooks really controlled this last, 6-7 minutes.
Right.
They, when the game was in the balance, who stepped up for them?
Exactly.
Their players, Thrash, Westbrooks stepped up for them. Pelham, Teichman, they've had a great game. Didn't get down on themselves when they got back. They were down 2 at one point, 2 to 3, 4 points. So they could have given up right then and didn't. And now they're up 9 and getting ready to move on to the second round.
It's definitely some great basketball, though. I mean, it was one of the. I searched around for at least a couple of years looking for the right competition for Fort Wayne to get into, and
how did you stumble upon the CBA? Because I know for the most part a lot of the teams were in the South, outside of Peoria in that first season.
Right. Well, and also it was a team in the league from St. Louis, and from also Peoria. So there was a team from, I think it was Ohio, that had just pulled out, I believe it was, and then I contacted the CBA at that time to see if I could get my team, because when they pulled out, I wanted to come in. I had some guys that I wanted to come in and take over the rest of their schedule. But there was some vetting that had to be done and everything else because they were already into it. So they pretty much, they just kept me on the list, I guess, so to speak. And then I met with Wasim and the group, and the rest is history, pretty much. I just, from that point on, I started trying to find a venue, started trying to find some players, and it was a good competition. I looked at the PBL, I looked at some of the other leagues as well, and Canada and things like that, but it really, the package wasn't good enough. For expansion team, so to speak, coming into the league, although I was prepared to put whatever it is to get into a league, it was like, hold on, you don't need to do this yet. We want to see and things like that. And then I had an opportunity to plant a seed and then grow with the league. And so for me, it's been a win-win all the way around.
That's definitely been a win-win. Fort Wayne is such a special place. Indiana basketball, second largest city in Indiana, and it looks like Middle Tennessee is going to advance here with the 104-97 victory. Tim Atkinson's heading down to the floor to talk with Coach Will Height. And so 2 more games tomorrow, Wasim, and we will have the semifinals all figured out. Benny, thank you so much for joining us. It was a pleasure. And congratulations. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks. We got to get ready. We'll see. We're going to be here tomorrow to watch and see who our opponent is going to be.
Yeah, Fort Wayne's going to play the winner of Chattanooga versus Peoria, which is scheduled for 2 p.m. tomorrow afternoon.
So Tim Atkinson's down with Memphis coach first. Alondra Rogers.
All right, Coach Rogers, obviously not the outlook and the ending that you wanted, but you guys were down 16 at one point, battled back, went up 2-3 points. Let me know what you thought the difference was in tonight and the 7-point advantage for the other team.
We got a lot of key guys missing. We have like 4 guys that made a difference for us, so that means now our subs had to come in. But they could have done the job. As you notice, we came up by 4 points, and we just lost momentum. We had a few the turnovers that kind of helped that turn the swing around.
Now, with your experience in the game of basketball, can you tell me a little bit about Myles Thrash and what do you think he means for that team?
Myles is Myles. That is an awesome ball player. He has good court awareness. He knows how to get the ball to his teammate when he needs it. He knows when to take his shots, and that just having good basketball IQ. He's phenomenal.
Well, it's a great season for you, Coach. Good luck, and hopefully we'll see you next year. Thank you very much.
So that was Alondre Rogers there. Coming up on the losing end here, Wasim, in game number 2, 104-97. Like she said, playing shorthanded, but I thought Memphis looked great. And we got Tim.
All right, we're standing here with Myles Thrash from the Storm, point guard extraordinaire. Tell me about what you guys were thinking, up 16 and then end up going down by 3-4 points. What was the thought in the huddle there?
Well, I think we relaxed a little bit, and they made a run. They're a very good team, and they're resilient, and we know they're going to make runs. So, it was our time. It's just we should execute a little bit better and kind of slow the game down and take control, but we knew they were going to make a run.
Now, for you personally, is it are you just playing momentum and possession by possession on where you feel like you need to take over scoring and when you need to facilitate more? Just give me your mind frame of what your job is on the court for the Storm.
Yeah, well, it's basically that. I look to facilitate from the beginning, and then if we're starting to have a scoring slump, I look to pick up the load and kind of carry it a little bit more. We got a lot of younger guys, so I'm doing a lot more teaching with the ball instead of, being an offensive threat like I'm always used to being.
Well, great game tonight, Myles. Moving on to the second round, and we'll see you in a couple weeks here in the Fort.
All right, thanks. Look forward to it.
So that's Myles Thrash down there, the great point guard for Middle Tennessee. Middle Tennessee, the 2014 CBA champions, looking to make it back-to-back here in Fort Wayne in 2 weeks. When we will have the semifinals on Saturday and the championship game on Sunday. Tim's going to try to track down Coach Wilhite, and we'll have him for you in a second here.
You could see in tonight's game that Middle Tennessee's experience really showed in that second half. A typical team, when they lose that 16-point lead and actually were trailing by 2 or a couple of baskets in the third, they may panic. They may start pointing fingers or forcing shots, but the experience of Coach Nathan Wilhite, Myles Thrash, and we see Coach Wilhite coming to Tim at the moment, their experience really pulled them through with the victory tonight.
So, yeah, we'll take it down to Tim Atkinson with Coach Wilhite.
All right, standing here with Coach Wilhite off the win there. Can you tell me, I talked to Myles a little bit about you guys going up 16 and then going down by 3-4 points, and what was the mindset in the huddle there when you guys went down by 3-4?
It was just getting back to what we were doing earlier, and that was getting the ball inside. When we have a tendency to get away from that a lot and settle for jump shots. But, we talked about it, and they started going back in. Hunter finished strong, and Kyle. And, that's where when we're good, when we can get our inside game going and then work it back out to our perimeter players. But, it was just getting them refocused on, what we need to do to win the game. So.
Tell me a little bit about Myles Thrash and what he means to the Storm, how good he is, mindset, all that good stuff. Could you tell me a little bit about your feelings on Myles Thrash?
Yeah, I've had Myles for 3 years, and he's just a great player, great shooter. But, he's just the leader of this team. He missed, I think, 3 games this year, and there was just no leadership on the floor. And the guys follow him, and, that's one of the signs of a great leader. His play, but when he talks, they listen. And, he just leads these guys. And when we don't have him, we can really tell on the floor that leadership is not there. But, all my guys have the utmost respect for me. They're all really good players, but Myles is, he's special. So.
Well, congratulations, Coach. We'll see you in a couple weeks back here in Fort Wayne, and good luck the rest of the playoffs.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Coach Wilhite there, the winning coach here in game number 2 with the Storm taking it 104-97. A great opening day here to the 2015 CBA playoffs. Wasim, your thoughts?
Absolutely. We couldn't have asked for two better games. In the first game, you had the host Fort Wayne Flight and Mississippi Eagles, an undermanned Mississippi Eagles team that came out and really made Fort Wayne fight for every point. The game came down to the wire, came down to the final possession. The crowd was involved. I think they were more nervous that they would lose, the host, losing in the opening round, but they came through and pulled out the victory. And then in the second game, it got a little stagnant in the beginning, but what really got the crowd involved was that Daryl Miller dunk. Obviously, he got the technical afterwards for taunting, but that dunk really changed the game in terms of crowd interaction. And then Middle Tennessee went on to a double-digit lead, and then, like has been parallel with every game this season, very few blowouts. The losing team always finds a way to come back. And just like, Memphis was down double digits last week at home versus Middle Tennessee, they came back in the third quarter, firing on all cylinders, and took the lead down in Memphis for good. Eventually they tied later on, but won the game. Here tonight, they took the lead. Middle Tennessee persevered and came through with the victory. So overall, two great games, very competitive games, is what we expected. I feel like the better teams won tonight with Fort Wayne and Middle Tennessee, and it'll be great to see them in the playoffs, whoever they end up facing in 2 weeks. Tomorrow's games should be entertaining as well. Obviously these are more of the middle of the pack teams, 3 versus 6, 4 versus 5. It's sort of like NCAA's when you're playing the 7, 10, 8, 9 matchup. Those generate more publicity and more action as compared to the 2-15s or the 1-16. But that's not to say that tomorrow, we're not going to have a similar result. Chattanooga is playing a Peoria team. Like we said, Peoria has struggled this season at 1-7. They're 0-12 or 0-14, something like that on the road. But these two teams, match up well against each other, and Peoria pushed them really hard last week. And then you have Bowling Green and Springfield. Bowling Green has always struggled on the road. And Springfield, everyone is counting them out. They're the 1-7 expansion team, and they can't compete with the D1 talent of Bowling Green. But I would not be surprised if they came in tomorrow and upset a Hornets team that everyone fears across the league because of their scoring prowess. So.
Yeah, definitely with Joshua Minner. Springfield doesn't come in with nobody. They've got some good players, and Levi Smith, a new addition that we saw in the last week of the regular season. Tim, your final thoughts on today's games?
Yeah, I thought it was outstanding. With the first game and the Flight pulling it out. They were up late by double digits, and Mississippi made a nice run, but Fort Wayne didn't give up with the under the back and coaching tutelage of Coach Wilmot. And then moving into the second game, you see the outstanding player, one of our best players in the league, and Myles Thrash, and leading his team, and great coaching by Alondre Rogers and Coach Will Height. So I think it's been a great night, first round, first action. I'm really excited for tomorrow's two games. So couldn't ask for anything better, Jeff, as far as starting this playoffs off in 2015.
Yeah, and I'd have to agree with Wasim. I feel like the postseason here is picking up right where we left off with the regular season. Every single week, teams getting better and better. The CBA is doing great things here. Folks, you can always inquire about more information with the CBA at www.playcba.com. Make sure to like our Facebook page, follow us on Twitter, and, of course, subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can be notified when these games get posted, always posted within 24 hours of the final game. So we appreciate everybody tuning in, and keep an eye out. We will have tomorrow's games posted up here shortly as well. So thanks for joining us, and until next time, I'm Jeff Mahoney with Tim Atkinson and Wasim Morad, Jake Atkinson on the camera. Thanks for joining us.